The shadows danced like living things across the marble floors of Moonhaven Palace, and within them, Kestra Nightfall moved like whispered death. Her obsidian leather armor hugged her lithe frame, every buckle designed for silent movement. The Harvest Festival's revelry echoed through the corridors above laughter, and music providing perfect cover for her deadly mission. She paused at the servants' stairwell, pressing against the cold stone wall. Her mysterious client had been specific. Prince Darian Thornwick must die tonight. During the festival, the payment offered was extraordinary 10,000 gold sovereigns and a clean identity in the southern kingdoms. Kestra had killed nobles before. They died just as easily as anyone else when steel found their hearts. But something about this contract felt different. Her benefactor had insisted on meeting in the Whispering Woods. Face hidden beneath a deep hood, voice magically altered. They'd known details about her past that should have been buried, her real name, her training under the Shadow Guild, even the scar across her left shoulder. She ascended the stairs with practiced silence. Her shadow magic was more than stealth, it was a supernatural gift that allowed her to bend darkness to her will, to become one with the absence of light itself. Born with the ability, much to her merchant parents' horror, she'd been recruited by the Shadow Guild at 16 when her family practically threw her at them, relieved to remove their cursed child. Now, 8 years later, she was one of the most skilled assassins in the known world. The study door was solid oak, reinforced with iron bands, but barriers meant little to someone who could slip through gaps like flowing water. Kestra dissolved into wisps of living darkness, flowing under the door like spilled ink, reforming on the other side with barely a whisper. The study was dimly lit by a single oil lamp. Maps of the kingdom covered a massive table, marked with agricultural yields and trade routes. And there, seated behind an ornate desk with his back to her, was Prince Darian Thornwick. She'd seen his portrait, but the painting hadn't captured his actual presence. Even focused on paperwork, he radiated quiet strength. His dark brown hair fell across his forehead as he wrote, and she could see concentration in his broad shoulders beneath his simple white shirt. He was younger than expected, perhaps only a few years older than herself. Most nobles his age would be drinking at the festival, but here he sat, working for his people's welfare. For a moment, regret flickered through her chest. Then she remembered the gold sovereigns and the promise of a new life. Kestra drew her dagger, midnight steel that held shadows within its metal. She stepped forward, raising the blade, her shadow, magic muffling even the soft whisper of steel through air. She was 3 steps away when Prince Darian spoke without turning around. "You know, most people knock when they want to enter my study." Kestra froze. How had he detected her, her shadow? Magic made her invisible, silent, practically incorporeal. Although, the prince continued conversationally, "I suppose shadow assassins probably don't follow normal etiquette rules." Shock rippled through her. He knew what she was. "You might as well come closer. This conversation will be rather awkward if we're shouting across the room." Against every instinct, Kestra stepped forward. Prince Darian turned, and she felt her breath catch. His portrait hadn't captured his eyes, deep green, like forest pools, with intelligence that seemed to see through her defenses. He was handsome, in a way that spoke of character rather than mere beauty. He looked at her without fear. "Kestra Nightfall," he said, and her blood turned to ice. "The Shadow Guild's finest. How do you know my name?" "Magic calls to magic," Darian replied, rising gracefully. "Royal blood carries its own gifts. I've been able to sense shadow wielders since childhood. The way you bend light and darkness creates ripples that those with the sight can detect. You haven't asked why I'm here, because I already know. Someone wants me dead. The question is why you haven't tried to complete your contract yet." In one fluid motion, she lunged forward, her blade aimed at his heart. The strike stopped an inch from his chest, held by invisible force. Golden light erupted from his skin, ancient runes blazing across the walls. "The palace has been warded for 3 centuries, Darian explained calmly. "Any attempt to harm the royal family triggers defensive enchantments." Kestra struggled against the barrier, her shadow magic writhing around the golden light like oil on water. "Why aren't you calling for guards?" "Because I don't think you really want to kill me," he said gently. "Someone convinced you I deserve To die, but your instincts say otherwise. His words hit home. For the first time in 8 years, she wondered what it might be like to step into the light. Dawn light filtered through the ornate windows of Kestra's guest chamber, but sleep had eluded her completely. She sat on the silk-covered bed, turning her midnight steel dagger over in her hands, replaying the previous night's events. Prince Darian had been nothing like she'd expected. No arrogance, no cruelty, just genuine kindness that made her chest tighten with unfamiliar emotions. A soft knock interrupted her brooding. "Kestra, may I come in?" She recognized Darian's voice and felt that strange flutter in her stomach again. "It's your palace." He entered carrying a breakfast tray, dressed in simple brown leather instead of royal finery. "I thought you might be hungry." Assassination attempts tend to work up an appetite. Despite herself, Kestra almost smiled. "Do you speak from experience?" "More than I'd like," he admitted, setting the tray on a small table. "Though most would-be killers don't stay for breakfast. Afterward, the normalcy of sharing a meal felt surreal." Kestra picked at fresh bread and honey, hyper-aware of Darian's presence across from her. In daylight, he was even more attractive, strong jaw shadowed with stubble. Those impossible green eyes that seemed to see straight through her carefully constructed walls. "I should leave," she said suddenly. "Every moment I stay here puts you in more danger. My client won't give up easily." "About that," Darian said carefully, "I've been thinking about your situation all night. There's something you should know about failed assassination contracts." Before Kestra could ask what he meant, a sharp pain lanced through her chest. She gasped, doubling over. As agony spread through her ribs like liquid fire, the sensation lasted only seconds, but left her trembling. "What was that?" she whispered. Darian's expression had gone grim. "We need to see Oracle Myron now." The Oracle lived in the palace's ancient tower, a structure older than the rest of the castle by several centuries. Myron herself appeared ancient, her silver hair braided with bones and crystals, her milk-white eyes seeing things beyond the physical world. She examined Kestra with those unsettling eyes before nodding slowly. "Soul tether," she pronounced in a voice like rustling leaves. "Very old magic, very dangerous." "What's a soul tether?" Kestra demanded, though part of her already dreaded the answer. "When a magic wielder attempts to harm their fated bond, the universe intervenes," Myron explained, shuffling around her crystal-filled chamber. "Ancient magic recognizes connections between souls before the souls themselves do. It will not permit such bonds to be severed by violence." Darian stepped closer. "Are you saying we're connected somehow?" "More than connected," the Oracle said, pulling out a tome bound in midnight blue leather. "Bound." The magic activated the moment her blade touched the palace wards while aimed at your heart. "Now she cannot be more than 100 feet from you without experiencing increasing pain." Kestra felt the blood drain from her face. "How long does it last?" Myron's ancient features grew sympathetic. 7 days. If the bond is not willingly accepted by both parties within that time, the magic fades. But if it is accepted, she let the words hang in the air, it becomes permanent. Darian finished quietly. "The universe rarely makes mistakes about such things," Myron added. "Soul tethers only form between those who are truly compatible on the deepest levels. You may fight it, but the magic recognizes what your hearts have not yet admitted." Kestra shot to her feet, panic clawing at her throat. "This is impossible. I'm an assassin. I don't do bonds or connections or any of that romantic nonsense." As if to prove the Oracle's words, another wave of pain hit her as she moved toward the door. The agony dropped her to her knees, and she felt Darian's hands on her shoulders immediately, his touch somehow easing the burning sensation. "Don't fight it," he said gently. "The pain only gets worse if you resist. I can't stay here." Kestra gasped. "My client will send others. They'll hurt innocent people to get to you. Then we deal with them together," Darian said firmly. 7 days. "Kestra, we have 7 days to figure out who wants me dead and why. And maybe," he hesitated, "maybe we figure out why the universe thinks we belong together." Kestra looked up into his green eyes and saw no judgment, no fear, only determination and something that might have been hope. For 8 years, she'd been alone, trusting no one, depending only on shadows and steel. Now ancient magic was telling her she belonged with this prince she'd tried to kill. 7 days. She whispered, though whether it was a promise or a threat, she wasn't entirely sure. The soul tether pulsed between them like a second heartbeat, binding assassin to prince in ways neither fully understood. 3 days into their mystical binding, Kestra had learned that Prince Darien was nothing like any royal she'd encountered. He treated servants with respect, knew every guard's name, and spent his mornings reviewing requests from common citizens. Watching him work only made the ache in her chest worse, not from the soul tether, but from something far more dangerous. She was beginning to care about him. "You're brooding again," Darien observed from his desk, where he was reviewing trade agreements. The magical bond meant they'd been forced to share his study, her presence a constant distraction from royal duties. "I don't brood," Kestra muttered from her position by the window, where she'd been watching the courtyard for signs of trouble. "I observe." "You've been observing that same patch of garden." For an hour, before she could retort, a commotion in the courtyard caught her attention. A woman in dark traveling clothes was arguing with the guards at the main gate, her posture familiar in a way that made Kestra's blood run cold. "No," she breathed, stepping back from the window. "What is it?" Darien was beside her instantly, the soul tether drawing him to her distress. "Vera Blackthorn," Kestra whispered. "My former mentor at the Shadow Guild. She's here." Darien's jaw tightened. "Could she be working with your mysterious client?" "Vera doesn't work with anyone. She works for herself, which makes this worse. If she's here, it means—" Kestra's throat went dry. "It means she's been hired to clean up my failure." The study door burst open without warning, and Vera Blackthorn strode in like a force of nature. She was everything Kestra remembered: tall, elegant, and deadly, with silver-streaked black hair and eyes like winter storms. Her shadow magic was stronger than Kestra's, refined by decades of experience. "My wayward student," Vera said, her voice carrying the same mixture of affection and disappointment that had haunted Kestra's training. "Imagine my surprise when Lord Cassius Ravencrest informed me that you'd failed to complete a simple assassination." Kestra's heart stopped. "Cassius Ravencrest hired me, indeed, though he neglected to mention certain complications." Vera's gaze shifted to Darien, and her expression grew calculating. "A soul tether. How deliciously inconvenient." Darien stepped protectively in front of Kestra. "Lord Ravencrest has no authority in this kingdom. His marriage claim through my sister's betrothal contract was voided years ago." "Ah, but that's where you're wrong, young prince," Vera said with a cold smile. "Cassius has been very patient, very clever. You see, if you die before producing an heir, and if your sister Princess Celeste were to have an accident, well, the crown would pass to her widower. Cassius has been planning this succession for quite some time." The pieces fell into place with horrifying clarity. "He's going to kill Celeste too," Kestra realized. After a suitable period of mourning, "Of course," Vera confirmed. "A tragic accident. Perhaps a riding mishap. These things happen to grieving widows." Rage flared in Darien's eyes. "Celeste is innocent in all this. She's barely 18. Innocence is irrelevant when crowns are at stake," Vera said dismissively. Then her attention returned to Kestra. "But we can still salvage this situation. Kill the prince now, and I'll ensure you receive full payment plus a bonus for the inconvenience. The soul tether will break upon his death." "And if I refuse?" Kestra asked, though she already knew the answer. "Then I'll be forced to kill you." "Both." Cassius was quite clear. "No witnesses, no loose ends." Vera's hands began to glow with shadow magic, darkness coiling around her fingers like living smoke. "Choose quickly, dear student. My patience has limits." Kestra felt the weight of her midnight steel dagger against her thigh. She could draw it, could try to match her mentor's superior skills, but Vera had trained her, knew every technique Kestra possessed. "There's a third option," Darien said quietly. Both women looked at him in surprise. "We work together," he continued, his hand finding Kestra's. "Pool our abilities, use the soul tether's connection to amplify our combined magic. Vera may be stronger than either of us alone, but she's never faced bonded souls fighting in unison." Vera laughed, but there was uncertainty in the sound. "Impossible. The girl doesn't know how to channel through a soul tether." "Then it's time I learned." Kestra said, intertwining her fingers with Darian's. Power immediately flowed between them, his royal magic warm and golden, her shadow magic cool and fluid. Where they touched, the energies didn't clash but merged, creating something entirely new. Vera's confident expression faltered. No, the magic shouldn't work that way. Love changes everything, Darian said simply. And Kestra felt her heart skip at the word love. Was that what this feeling was? Vera attacked without warning, shadow magic erupting from her hands in deadly tendrils. But Kestra and Darian were ready, their combined power creating a barrier of golden darkness that turned away. Her assault, the real battle, was just beginning. The magical battle with Vera had left the study in ruins, but their combined power had proven stronger than Kestra's former mentor anticipated. Vera had retreated, but not before delivering a chilling warning. Cassius knows about the soul tether. Now, he'll use it against you both. For days remained until their bond became permanent or faded forever. Kestra sat in the palace gardens beside Darian, their hands intertwined as they discovered the physical connection strengthened there. Magical union, the touch sent warmth through her entire body, a sensation she was becoming dangerously addicted to. Tell me about your sister, she said, needing distraction from the way moonlight made his eyes look like emeralds. Darian's expression softened, Celeste's sunshine personified. She sees good in everyone, believes the best of people even when they don't deserve it. When our parents died 3 years ago, she was the only thing that kept me from drowning in grief and responsibility. She sounds wonderful, Kestra said, though the words carried unexpected pain. What would it be like to have someone care for you unconditionally? She'd like you, Darian said, surprising her. Celeste has always been drawn to people others have given up on. She'd see past the assassin to the woman underneath. Before Kestra could respond, rapid footsteps echoed across the courtyard. Princess Celeste herself appeared, her golden hair disheveled and her usually pristine gown torn. Darian, she gasped, rushing toward them. Thank the gods you're safe. I came as soon as I heard about the attempt on your life. Kestra tensed, expecting accusations or fear, but Celeste merely studied her with curious blue eyes. You must be Kestra. The palace staff is buzzing with stories about the shadow wielder who's captured my brother's heart. I haven't captured anything, Kestra protested, though her cheeks burned. Celeste's smile was radiant, the way you're holding hands suggests otherwise, and Darian hasn't stopped looking at you since I arrived. Celeste, Darian warned, but his sister ignored him. I think it's romantic, she continued, like something from the old ballads, enemies bound by fate, love conquering ancient magic. We're not in love, Kestra said quickly, though the words felt like lies on her tongue. Aren't you? Celeste tilted her head. Then why does your shadow magic keep reaching toward him? And why does his royal aura keep trying to wrap around you protectively? Kestra looked down and gasped. Without conscious thought, tendrils of her shadow magic had indeed extended toward Darian, while golden light from his royal bloodline created an almost visible embrace around her form. The magic recognizes what your hearts haven't admitted yet, Celeste said gently. I may be young, but I'm not blind. Their intimate moment was shattered by the arrival of a palace guard. Your Highnesses, urgent news from the border. Lord Cassius Ravencrest has been spotted approaching with a significant military force. Darian stood immediately. How many men? 200. Sir, flying banners of peaceful negotiation, but our scouts report siege equipment hidden in the supply wagons. He's not here to negotiate. Kestra realized. He's here to take the throne by force if assassination fails. We need to get you both to safety, Celeste said, but Kestra was already shaking her head. Running won't solve this. Cassius will keep coming, keep threatening innocent people. We need to end this permanently. Together, Darian agreed, his hand tightening around hers. That night, as they planned their strategy in Darian's chambers, the tension between them finally reached its breaking point. They'd been circling around their feelings for days, the soul tether making emotional connection inevitable. After tomorrow, Kestra said quietly, when Cassius is defeated, I'll leave. The bond will fade, and you can return to your normal royal life. Is that what you want? Darian asked, moving closer. It doesn't matter what I want. I'm an assassin, Darian. I've killed people. I don't belong in your world of sunlight and goodness. You belong wherever you choose to belong," he said firmly, "and for the record, you've spent for days protecting. Instead of killing, maybe it's time to stop defining yourself by your past." The space between them seemed to shrink until Kestra could feel his breath against her lips. "This is dangerous. Everything worthwhile is dangerous," he whispered, then kissed her the moment their lips met. The soul tether blazed with golden fire. Magic flowed between them like liquid starlight, their two souls recognizing what their minds had been fighting. Kestra melted into his embrace, 8 years of loneliness dissolving in the warmth of his touch. When they broke apart, both were breathing hard. "I love you," Darian said simply. "Soul tether or no soul tether, magic or no magic, I love who you are, not what you've been forced to become." Tears she hadn't shed in years burned behind Kestra's eyes. "I love you too, and that terrifies me more than any enemy ever could." Tomorrow would bring battle, but tonight they had each other, and maybe, just maybe, that would be enough. The ancient Thornwick family tomb lay beneath the palace, its stone corridors lined with the carved effigies of generations of royalty. It was here that Cassius had demanded the final confrontation, neutral ground where no palace wards could interfere. He held Princess Celeste hostage in the central chamber, her golden hair stark against the cold stone altar where countless kings had been laid to rest. "How poetic," Cassius Ravencrest called as Kestra and Darian descended the stairs, their joined hands glowing faintly with combined magic. The last prince of Thornwick, come to die in the tomb of his ancestors. Cassius was everything Kestra had expected from Darian's descriptions, handsome in a cold way, with calculating blue eyes and the bearing of a man accustomed to taking what he wanted. Vera Blackthorn stood beside him, shadow magic coiling around, her form like protective smoke. "Let Celeste go," Darian demanded, his royal aura flaring protectively. "Your quarrel is with me, oh. But she's so useful as motivation," Cassius replied, pressing a dagger to the princess's throat. "Besides, once I'm king, I'll need a suitable wife to legitimize my claim. Celeste will serve admirably in that role. I'd rather die," Celeste spat, her usually gentle nature replaced by Thornwick. "Steel, that can be arranged," Cassius said pleasantly. "But first, let's discuss terms. Kestra, my dear assassin, kill Prince Darian now, and I'll spare both your lives. You can disappear with your gold, and I'll find another bride to cement my reign." Kestra felt Darian's hand tighten in hers. Through their bond, she sensed his willingness to sacrifice himself for his sister's safety. The noble fool was actually considering it. "Counteroffer," Kestra said, stepping forward. "I tell you exactly what I think of your terms, and then we end this farce permanently." She released Darian's hand and drew her midnight steel dagger. For a moment, hope flickered in Cassius's eyes until Kestra spun the blade in her grip and hurled it with perfect precision, not at Darian, but at Vera. Her former mentor deflected the strike with shadow magic, but the distraction was all Kestra needed. She dissolved into living darkness, flowing across the chamber floor faster than thought. She reformed behind Cassius, her hands wrapping around his throat before he could react. "Release her now," Kestra hissed in his ear, "or I'll show you exactly why the Shadow Guild feared me." But Vera was already moving, dark magic erupting toward Kestra in lethal tendrils. Darian's golden power met the attack halfway, his royal magic blazing like captured sunlight in the tomb's depths. "You think you can match me, boy?" Vera snarled, pouring more power into her assault. "Not alone," Darian admitted, then smiled. "But I'm not alone anymore." Kestra flowed back to his side, their hands connecting automatically. The moment they touched, their individual magics merged into something transcendent. Golden shadow light erupted from their joined forms, neither purely royal magic nor pure shadow manipulation, but something entirely new. "Impossible," Vera breathed, stumbling backward. "The magics are incompatible." "Love makes all things possible," came a new voice from the tomb entrance. Oracle Myron descended the stairs, her ancient eyes bright with power. The soul tether was never about binding them together, it was about showing them they were already connected, two halves of the same magical whole. King Aldrich followed the oracle, very much alive despite reports of his death that had driven this entire conspiracy. Palace guards filled the chamber, surrounding Cassius and Vera. "Father," Darian gasped, "I've been investigating Cassius's treachery. For months," the king explained. "My supposed death was necessary to draw out his full plans. Though I admit, I didn't expect my son to find such a remarkable partner in the process." Cassius released Celeste and drew his sword, desperation replacing calculation. "I won't be denied. The throne should be mine." He lunged at Darian, but met the combined barrier of shadow and light instead. The force of his impact sent him sprawling, his weapon clattering across stone. "It's over, Cassius," King Aldrich said warily. "You'll face trial for treason, assassination attempts, and kidnapping." As guards led the conspirators away, Vera paused beside Kestra. "You chose love over gold," she said, something like respect in her voice. "Perhaps I trained you better than I thought." Alone at last, Kestra found herself facing the royal family. Princess Celeste immediately embraced her, tears of gratitude streaming down her face. "Thank you for saving my brother," she whispered, both from Cassius and from himself. King Aldrich studied Kestra with measuring eyes, a shadow wielder who chose protection over assassination. "Will you accept a permanent position as my son's partner in all things?" Father Darian warned, but Kestra was already smiling. "Is that a proposal?" she asked. "Among my people," Darian said, taking her hands. "When two souls join through magical bonding, they're considered married by divine will, but I'd like to ask properly." He dropped to one knee in the ancient tomb. "Kestra Nightfall, will you marry me? Will you help me rule with wisdom and protect our people with the strength of our combined magic?" "Yes," she whispered, then louder, "Yes," as they kissed. Golden shadow light blazed around them, and Kestra felt the soul tether transform from magical compulsion into willing bond. She'd come to kill a prince and instead found her soulmate. 6 months later, their wedding ceremony combined human tradition with shadow magic rituals, creating new bonds between the kingdom's light and darkness. Kestra kept her midnight steel dagger, but now it served protection instead of death. And in the palace gardens where they'd first admitted their love, shadow and light danced together under the stars, proof that even the darkest hearts could find their way home.